So this week we had to read Birch Bark House. It's a culturally specific book um, about the Indian um, Ojibwa culture. This book is not like other cultural books where it's like about a stereotype of the culture. It's actual, um, their beliefs and things that actually happen. So real events. Um, Omakayas, she went through a lot, and it kind of took it through, her life and, the things that she had to go through. Like when the smallpox scare went through, and her whole family was just getting sick, and, she wasn't, and she didn't know why. And after the last person was taken into the house, she kind of was like, no, I'm not going to leave them. I'm going to go inside and I'm going to help, or I'm going to be with my family. Um, and that was the sad part to actually read about because of her little brother passing. That was hard for her because she was really attached to him. So that was one part that kind of brought a tear to my own eye. Um, I would recommend this book. Um, to young readers, wanting to know about a different culture, um, especially this one, because of the history of it. Um, let's see, one part in the story, that really stands out to me about the history of the Native Americans. Obviously, was when that smallpox broke through, and it was killing a lot of people, and they had blamed it on the white man. So that was, the um, Americans coming in and kind of taking over, the Indians, even though it didn't seem as that was what was happening, but that's what the Indian culture, um, seen as the threat. That's what they believed caused this to happen. Um, and also, at the end of the story, we learn that Omakai is actually from a different family. And it goes back to that prologue in the beginning about the little girl on the Spirit Island. She was told that her family wasn't her family. They just kind of adopted her in. And so that was one part that stuck out, um, because she she wasn't sick at the time as her whole family was, and so she had thoughts and doubts about herself already as it was, because she wasn't sure why was she the only one not getting sick, or why did she not die and her little brother died. And so that kind of brought on the true aspect of her life, and she was like, Nomakai is how she was a healer. She was made for that, um, and plus, it showed, like, when she went in and took care of um, her brother, when he was passing, it showed the passion that she had herself, and it showed, the healing part. Like, she wanted him to feel better. She wanted to do anything, for all of her family members to get better. Not just him, but especially, after he passed, she was kind of, she didn't sleep herself. She didn't take care of herself because she wanted to make sure they were okay. And then also, towards the end, when her brother Pinch burned his foot, the same thing. Her Nomakais wasn't around to help, and she was the main one that did that. And so she kind of took it upon herself to mix up something that she found in Nomakais' bag to heal her brother Pinch. Which, when Nomakais did come back, she told her, great job, you did exactly what I would have done or better. Um, and, in the Indian tribe, they went through a lot of changes, and that's why the book is set up kind of like in the summer, fall and winter, in that type of aspect, because of all the changes that were happening. And the different events that happened during those times. Like, for instance, in the winter when the smallpox scare was killing everybody. Um, you know, it took, them being strong and, brave to fight against this smallpox scare to, just to survive. And that's, history is just that in every culture. It's the history that you pass down uh, between generation to generation. What you tell others about. What you teach other people about your culture. Um, Touching into the two questions that we were supposed to choose from, I picked the one about um, the names. Uh, the fact that Angeline had an American name kind of did throw me off when I started reading the story. Kind of couldn't put my finger on like why she had a different name than everybody else, because everybody else had an Indian name. So, not really sure why. Could be maybe she wasn't even named by the traditional Indian way of the name givers giving them the name. So maybe that just she was the older sister. Maybe that didn't just happen for her, or maybe that's just something that the name givers dreamed was the perfect name for her. Um, I know that names are important. Sometimes they have powerful meanings or stories or reasons why. I know that I never met my mom's grandma. Um, I mean, not my mom's grandma, my mom's mom, and I was always told that my grandma had named me. She had asked my parents to name their daughter Tracy, and that's how I got my name. Um, Later on in life, when I found out more about my mom's family and more people that I never knew about, they actually live in Regina, which is, I want to say, Canada. Um, Thanks to Facebook, you can find anybody. So they contacted me, and learning more about them, and I actually have a cousin named Tracy as well. So that was kind of interesting and cool to know. I know for my own children, uh, it was the name deciding was both of us, me and my husband. So it was, we had to agree on the name. It couldn't just be him agreeing or me agreeing on it. And then our children's middle names are, um, my daughter has Marie, and that's more of every girl in the family has Marie as their middle name. So that was kind of an easy one to decide. And then my son's is Lee, which is my dad's middle name, but also my husband's middle name. So it kind of worked out perfect. Um, the other question was about the prologue being placed in the beginning of the book of the little girl on the Spirit Island. I didn't really see it as being Omakai's. Obviously, until the end when it was discovered that she was the little girl on the Spirit Island. Um, Throughout the book, I kind of just thought maybe it was Noma Kaias because of all of her stories and everything that she was telling throughout the story to Omakaias. So, I thought maybe that was more like a story of her life, not Omakai's. So that was kind of interesting to me, and yeah, it was interesting. It was hard to determine until given the facts. Um, and the read aloud that I chose was 9 Days to Christmas. It was a tradition in Mexico, and it was the 9 nights before Christmas. They had a posada, which is a party, And the little girl in the story just was, oh my gosh, when is my posada? When is my posada? Am I gonna have a piñata at my posada? And so it was just, young children in that culture being excited for this Christmas tradition that, you know, their family celebrated. And that's something every culture has, or, just traditions that any family celebrates. Like for my children, we just have Christmas. So, we celebrate on Christmas Day. I know that some people celebrate on Christmas Eve. Sometimes it just works for your schedule. So it just depends. But I think that, some traditions can be carried on from your, generation to generation, or you can create your own. I know something I started doing with my children every year was doing you can open one gift on Christmas Eve, and that was the pajamas. So we do pajamas on Christmas Eve. That's their present, and we have like a movie night. So that's just something that I do um, in my own life. So it's kind of, this book is a good thing for young children to kind of relate to, because it's something, whether it's this actual tradition or something that their own family, celebrates. You can see the excitement in the child for these types of things. So I think that that's why this is a good book to expose young children um, to learn about, different cultures and stuff like that.